Um, if you're homeless, just buy a house.
Yeah, why don't the homeless just buy a house then? The reality is so tragic that it might be beyond what the girl in the video can ever imagine. It's heartbreaking to witness the number of homeless individuals in America increasing each day. These aren't just stories circulating on social media. They're a stark reality unfolding in Canada, much like a travel documentary that highlights the profound challenges its residents face. Canada is often celebrated for its friendliness, hospitality, stunning landscapes, high quality of life, and stable economy. However, a harsh reality is emerging. Millions of people in this country can no longer afford basic living. House prices have soared. Living costs have surged, yet wages have stayed almost the same since 2016, making it tough for Canadians to get by. Furthermore, the rise in immigration has worsened the housing shortage and increased homelessness since 2018. So, what are the true reasons behind Canada's current situation? Let's delve into and understand the factors impacting the economy of a developed nation like Canada. When you think of a developed country like Canada, you imagine a modern society where people enjoy a high quality of life, a stable economy, and excellent public services. However, in recent years, certain societal issues have gradually surfaced. A portion of the population can no longer afford to own a home and even struggles to find reasonable accommodation. Real estate prices in Canada have surged significantly in major cities like Vancouver and Toronto. In major cities, the increase can be as high as 30 to 40% over the past few years. So, what's happening in Canada's housing market? One major factor is the change in interest rates by the Bank of Canada. When interest rates go up, buyers have to pay more each month, but not everyone can afford it. This has led many people to delay their home buying plans or look for shared living arrangements. Additionally, the shortage of new housing supply is a crucial factor. Although the government has taken steps to build affordable housing, the rate of new housing supply still falls short of demand due to challenges like rising construction costs and limited development land. Moreover, investment from foreign buyers significantly contributes to this price hike. A recent survey indicates that over 10% of real estate transactions in Vancouver are made by foreign investors, creating a housing shortage for local residents. The purchase of real estate in Canada by international investors, especially in major cities, has driven up demand and pushed housing prices to levels that are hard for local residents to achieve. The impact of rising house prices goes beyond mere statistics. For millions of Canadians, the inability to own a home is a serious issue. They struggle to find suitable housing, forcing them to live in suburban areas far from city centers where the cost of living is lower, but they face long, costly commutes. A Toronto resident shared, "My family and I have been living in a small apartment for the past 3 years. Even though we've saved a lot, buying a house is impossible. We have to commute about an hour every day to work, and travel costs are also increasing. Life has become harder than ever." Rising house and rent prices, coupled with stagnant wages, have made it difficult for many residents to find stable housing. Many people are reluctantly becoming homeless because they can't afford to rent a home. Forecasts suggest that without significant changes, the number of homeless individuals in Canada could rise sharply in the coming years. Streets and shelters are both crowded, and homelessness has become common in 10 major Canadian cities. In cities like Vancouver and Toronto, the number of homeless people has grown in recent years. Data from the Canadian homelessness organization, Homeless Hub, shows that homelessness in Vancouver increased by 20% from 2018 to 2023. This situation becomes even more dire during Canadian winters, where temperatures can drop below freezing for many months, posing additional challenges for those without stable housing. This situation, along with poverty, creates numerous challenges for both the community and the government. Meanwhile, Canadian government housing support policies have somewhat improved the homelessness situation, but they are still insufficient to fully address the current difficulties. The government has introduced measures like home purchase loan assistance for first-time buyers, but these policies haven't yet met the people's needs. Furthermore, tax measures on real estate need to be strengthened to control speculation and reduce pressure on the housing market. However, not everything is bleak. Community groups and nonprofit organizations are working to build affordable housing models and support low-income families. This demonstrates that despite numerous challenges, Canada can still find sustainable solutions to improve the housing situation in the future. What are your thoughts on house and rental prices in Canada? Are you experiencing similar difficulties? Please share with us by leaving a comment below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more topics. Thank you. Now, let's move forward. In a wealthy country like Canada, where every citizen is expected to have a stable and comfortable life, people are now facing challenges with the rising cost of living. A survey from the bankruptcy management company MNP Lee shows that in July 2023, 52% of Canadians were just $200 away from financial bankruptcy, an increase of 46% in just 3 months. It's noteworthy that 35% of Canadian households, despite working very hard, still struggle to pay their monthly bills. We couldn't pay for rent. While paying for rent, we couldn't pay for anything else. The most essential items for people have all increased in price. Only food prices have risen by about 10%, which is concerning. The cost of utilities is no exception, adding more difficulties for lower middle-income families. People today have to carefully calculate their daily expenses, such as only buying essential products or limiting their diets to save money. Luxuries like vacations or dining out have become out of reach for many families. A Toronto resident shared, "With my current salary, I have to be very careful when going to the market every week. I only buy essentials for the family, not daring to buy any extra treats or anything that isn't truly necessary. Electricity, water, and other services increase every year with no signs of decreasing. We have to cut back on non-essential things to sustain our lives." As prices continue to soar, wages have remained almost stagnant, even declining relative to inflation since 2006. The real wages of workers haven't increased significantly. A study by the Canadian Policy Research Network CPRN shows that in 2022, the average wage of a full-time worker only increased by about 1.7%, while inflation reached 6.8%, significantly reducing people's purchasing power. Therefore, it's easy to understand why many Canadians find it hard to make ends meet. A teacher in Vancouver confided, "We work in the education sector, but our salaries aren't enough to cover living expenses in the city. I have to take on extra work to earn more money. But even though I work hard, by the end of the month, I still feel like I can't breathe because expenses keep piling up." Additionally, government pandemic-related subsidies have ended, putting extra pressure on many families' finances. This particularly affects Canada's younger generation, as they experience much lower levels of happiness compared to previous generations. The World Happiness Report ranks Canada as the 15th happiest country, but the youth are near the bottom of the rankings at 58th place. When income isn't sufficient to meet basic needs, many families are forced to borrow money to sustain their lives. According to a report from the Bank of Canada, the number of households with debt has significantly increased in recent years. People are caught in a debt spiral as they use credit cards or borrow money to pay for monthly expenses, increasing their financial burden. Some citizens also feel dissatisfied with the government's actions, although the imbalance between living costs and wages remains a major issue for many families. Individual efforts to overcome challenges still foster a belief in the possibility of change. The Canadian community continues to seek ways to adapt and navigate this difficult period, hoping that future policies and solutions will improve the financial situation and help people live lives worthy of their efforts. Immigration is a key factor affecting Canadians' lives in recent years. For many years, Canada maintained an immigration quota of about 250,000 people each year. After the COVID-19 pandemic ended, the government continued to increase the immigration target to about 400,000 people per year and is expected to welcome around 550,000 immigrants annually by 2025. Moreover, Canada has developed other methods to attract immigrants, including international students. Hundreds of thousands of students from other countries study at Canadian colleges and universities. Additionally, hundreds of thousands of temporary foreign workers are also coming to Canada, contributing to an annual population growth rate of nearly 3%. These numbers have helped Canada become the developed country with the fastest population growth rate in the world. However, not everyone agrees with this expanded immigration policy. In reality, Canada faces significant challenges in maintaining a robust infrastructure system to meet the increasing demands of its growing population. Housing, food, and infrastructure issues haven't been improved timely enough to keep pace with the population growth rate. While Canada's GDP only increased by 0.5% compared to the previous year, the population growth rate reached 3%, indicating that the economy can't keep up with the population increase. Derek Holt, Vice President and Director of Capital Market Economics at Scotiabank, warned that the significant increase in immigration without improving infrastructure will lead to persistent housing inflation, a warning he's been issuing since last year. Some experts suggest that the government could take two measures to alleviate the cost of living crisis: reducing immigration levels and cutting debt spending. However, this isn't easy to implement. Recently, the Canadian Minister of Immigration referred to international students as valuable assets, and collecting tuition fees from international students remains an important revenue source for the country. As for reducing the budget deficit, this seems quite challenging. Prime Minister Trudeau's government is receiving support from the New Democratic Party and the Progressive Conservative Party, which oppose cuts to social programs. Therefore, the government can only hold press conferences and make commitments, but there's no clarity on long-term solutions. Under public pressure, the government has finally announced a plan to restrict immigration in the coming years. However, for many, whether this decision can be timely remains uncertain. Changes in immigration policy and improving citizens' quality of life are urgent issues that Canada needs to address moving forward. Canada, a nation known for its image of development and opportunity, where people are often expected to lead fulfilling and happy lives, is currently presenting a contrasting reality. A large segment of the population cannot enjoy a prosperous life like the rest of society. Increasing inequality is becoming a serious issue as the wealthy maintain a luxurious lifestyle while the poor struggle daily with financial difficulties and limited opportunities. So, what is causing Canadian society to become increasingly polarized? And is there any hope for the future? The wealth gap in Canada has significantly widened in recent years, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. A report by the Canadian Policy Research Institute (CPRN) indicates that the poverty rate rose to 14% in 2022, with more than 5 million people living below the poverty line. Meanwhile, wealthy families, especially those who own real estate, benefit from rising property prices. This has created a clear division between social classes, as those who don't own real estate can't enjoy the benefits of economic growth. Uneven distribution of resources is one of the main causes of this injustice. Although the Canadian government has made efforts to support the poor, such as increasing social welfare and developing affordable housing programs, these efforts haven't yet been sufficient to address the root of the problem. This not only affects quality of life, but also has a profound impact on the younger generation's future. The situation forces many people, especially the younger generation, to leave the country in search of better living opportunities elsewhere. A young engineer in Toronto shared, "Although I've put in my utmost effort at work with my current salary, I feel like I can't make any progress. Everything here is too expensive, and I can't build a good life for my family. Therefore, I decided to seek opportunities in the US, where the cost of living is more reasonable." Besides economic issues, the rise in stress and mental health problems in the community is also a major concern. According to a study by the World Health Organization (WHO), the rate of Canadians experiencing mental health issues has increased by 25% in recent years, especially during the pandemic. This has led to negative consequences for society. Although the current situation is still full of challenges, there are also stories of hope and inspiration. Many community organizations and individuals are striving to create positive change. Programs supporting the poor, initiatives building cities for the youth, and mental health organizations are contributing to a fairer and healthier Canada. These efforts, while not yet sufficient to solve all problems, are important steps in improving quality of life and reducing inequality in society. We can hope for a future where everyone has the opportunity to live a good and fair life, where no one is left behind. In the face of increasing inequality and hardships in the lives of many Canadian families, the big question is, what can we do to create a fairer and more sustainable future for everyone? Although the challenges facing the country are significant, there are also potential solutions that can help improve the situation and bring hope to the people. These will be crucial steps to build a more prosperous and equitable Canada. To address the issue of affordable housing shortages, the Canadian government needs to develop and implement appropriate policies to enhance housing supply for the population, especially for low-income groups. The Ontario government has begun implementing several initiatives to develop affordable housing, but more efforts are needed to ensure these policies are effectively executed and reach those in need. Another important solution is to implement measures to control real estate prices and prevent land speculation. Those who buy houses for speculative purposes, not for living, have contributed to making housing prices unreasonable, causing many families to be unable to access the housing market. Therefore, the government can implement tax measures on second homes or impose stricter regulations on property rentals to mitigate speculation. Besides the housing issue, the government also needs to adjust wages to match the current cost of living. A study by the Canadian Policy Research Institute shows that the current minimum wage isn't enough to cover basic living expenses, especially in major cities like Toronto and Vancouver, where the cost of living is very high. Additionally, the government needs to increase financial support for low-income families. Subsidy programs, such as housing assistance and healthcare subsidies, need to be expanded to help those in need. For example, the Canada Child Benefit has helped millions of poor families, but many families still haven't benefited. Therefore, it's necessary to build a comprehensive health and welfare system that not only provides financial assistance, but also facilitates access to basic healthcare and education services for the people. A long-term solution to address inequality and create opportunities for everyone is to encourage investment in sustainable industries. High-tech industries, renewable energy, and innovation are rapidly growing fields that can create many stable, high-paying jobs. The government can offer tax incentives and training support to encourage businesses to invest in these industries. These initiatives will not only help Canada maintain its competitive position in the global economy, but also create sustainable career opportunities for the younger generation, contributing to the long-term development of the national economy. However, encouraging investment isn't solely the government's responsibility. It also requires participation from the private sector and the community. Large companies can contribute to sustainable development by creating jobs, investing in research and development, and participating in environmental protection initiatives. They not only contribute to economic growth, but also help build a fairer society for everyone. All these solutions require close cooperation between the government, businesses, and the community. Although the challenges Canada is facing are significant, if we focus on reforming housing policies, adjusting wages and social benefits, and encouraging investment in sustainable industries, we can create a fairer and more prosperous future for all citizens. Change won't happen overnight, but if each of us contributes to this process, Canada will undoubtedly become a better place to live and work in the future. We've made every effort to provide accurate and valuable information in this video, but it's impossible to cover every aspect of the topic. Please consider this as a reference and feel encouraged to do your own research to make the most informed decisions. Share your thoughts in the comments section below the video, and don't hesitate to share with your friends if you find it useful. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss the next videos. Thank you for watching,